very open here.
Great.
What's up, everybody?
What's happening?
What's happening?
This
Can
stuff.
you guys introduce yourselves to the microphones?
I'm Rob Simonsen.
I'm Chris Lennertz.
Right on.
So we're gonna start over here because I started the last time.
All right. Let me see. Did one of you do this?
That is the best leading question.
I did. It's actually the first time I've seen it too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty
Good looking.
Yeah, I actually do want to get Ray to give me something.
Ray can get him one. You don't have to give yours up. Ray can get it. I think he's heard the music before, though.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, so that's that guy.
What is that? I mean, you must have known when you signed on for this. What a huge summer tentpole that was.
Yeah, but I think it's really grown. I had no idea that the marketing budget was going to be what it is. I mean, it's absolutely everywhere. And I think just as the film was coming together and they were doing some test screenings and Marvel was, really receiving what the film was, I think it just kind of built a lot of momentum. And but certainly breaking records for being the biggest R-rated opening of all time was not expected, so that's pretty cool. Should it happen? Seems like it is going to happen, but yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, count those eggs, but I think it's probably a safe bet.
Yeah.
If we can measure it like in popcorn buckets, I think it's gonna fly off the charts.
A lot of popcorn.
Mountains of popcorn buckets, more than in Real Genius.
Nice one. That's a deep
Damn.
That was a good
Scored by Thomas Newman.
That's right.
Wow, you guys
That's
are going
right.
deep tracks. Here we go.
Rob, you have an incredibly impressive list of shows and movies that you have composed for. Obviously, this, Age of Adeline, my personal favorite, which is really old school, Doll's House.
Oh, wow. Yeah, nice one.
Is there a type of genre, comic books, drama, that you enjoy creating music for, or that comes easier to you?
I mean, I never expected to be doing as many coming-of-age films as I ended up doing. When I was assisting Michael Dana, I remember he did Little Miss Sunshine, which was a little bit of a deviation for him because he did a lot of, art house, indie cinema in Canada and things like 8mm and Ice Storm, and then suddenly, he's doing this very indie film, which was kind of my introduction to indie music in a lot of ways. So, and I knew that would beget more films like that. So then 500 Days of Summer came in, and we scored that, and I knew that would beget more coming-of-age films. So then, The Way Back and Spectacular Now and Love, Simon and all of these little coming-of-age indie films. And so I think I developed my approach and my vernacular for doing that. So that has kind of come easily, maybe, but piano driven with ambience. It's like lots of scores where that is the vibe. Just did that for Blake Lively's film, It Ends With Us, which is actually coming out in another week or two.
Nice.
That's based on a book.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then are you grabbing from that? Did you read the book, or are you grabbing
I didn't
from
read the
that?
book. No, she called me as we were in London finishing Deadpool, and she's like, she called me out of the blue, and she's like, I've been hearing what you've been doing on Deadpool, and Ryan talks about you so much, and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, and then I found out that you did Age of Adeline, which I didn't even realize. And
I was going to say, wasn't that her?
yeah, it was her.
They don't know.
They don't know, but she did. She found out, and and she had kind of moved into the lead position of finishing this film, and so we came in and scored the film in 3 weeks from beginning to end, which was I think a record. And there was like 50 minutes of score, 55 or something. So I did it with one of my first assistants, and you know, we had a great time. But luckily, it was simple. It was ambience and piano and some electric guitar. We did some strings, but it was very simple. And I'm always looking for simplicity, not necessarily a lack of sophistication, but simplicity. And simplicity is really hard to do. Deceptively hard to do. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that answers your question or not, but hopefully that's interesting answers.
I guess I got to give Chris some love, right?
Yeah.
Chris, how many years has this been for you here?
Ray said like half a dozen, so probably 5 or 6, I bet, probably half the time.
Well, it was good to see you.
What was the film that you first came with?
It was, the first thing I came with was probably Agent Carter, so the Marvel show, Agent Carter. I did 2 years of that, so that would have been 13, 14, I think, is the first time, and then I came back for Rogers, the musical. I'm like, I've been like half Marvel and then half anti-Marvel. I'm not gonna say anti-Marvel, but half the boys and Gen V, half Kripke and half Marvel, which is funny because and again we all, Kripke loves Marvel. It's all we all love them both. So, but it's been fun to be here a bunch and have very different perspectives of superheroes.
I was going to wonder. I was like, what is the group chat like for you all?
Did you hear?
There's so many like points you can talk about. Like, I got this amazing movie coming out. You just had one of the most brutal seasons ever of The Boys.
Gonna get into that.
It's a lot of little talking points. I'm just curious, seriously, what is some of that communications amongst your colleagues?
I mean, I think we all, Rob and I have been friends for a long time. We have the same agent. We've been sitting at the same tables at awards dinner for a long time, and Michael and I have known each other a while, and so I think first of all, we all know how hard it is to like do this and write anything, much less something that is good and moves people. So I remember, which is really such a great story. So I used to work for a guy named Basil Polidorus. He was my first boss out of college, who wrote Conan the Barbarian and Hunt for Red October and RoboCop and Starship Troopers. And he was like a dad to me. And he was I worked for him for 5 years. And I remember in 1994, it was my first year out of college, and I was working with him. And I remember I was in the office. I love to tell this story because this is really such a great modeling experience for me. And I remember he came flying through the door, and I'm like, "Oh, do you need something? You look like you're in a rush." He's like, "No, I gotta go upstairs." And I thought he was gonna go run upstairs and write a theme, right? I thought he was like, "Oh, he's got something in his head, he's got to write it down." So I like went up after him, and he had already gotten his office, and he was on the phone, and he was calling Alan Silvestri because he had just watched Forrest Gump. So by the time I walked in and I was like in the doorway and I heard him, and he's like, "Hey Alan, it's Basil. I got your number from Richard, and I just wanted you to know that you did such an amazing job on this movie, and I haven't stopped crying, and I just thought you did a great job, and I was just so impressed, and just want to tell you congrats." And it was just that, and he hung up, and I was like, wow. And I really feel like we as a community, a lot of us, at least the people I'm friends with, we know how hard it is, and when people write something like that amazingly brilliant thing that Michael Abels wrote, it's like that's hard to do, and it's hard to do when you have 17 people giving you notes, and I always love to just hopefully, I think a lot of us do that. I mean, Blake Neely, who does a lot of that work with Sherry, and he and I have been friends for a long time. And when I saw the Masters of the Air thing that he did this year, which he got the Emmy nomination for, I remember like texting him, being like, "Holy shit, dude! That opening title is just stunning and gorgeous." And I just, as much as possible, I still love music, and I still love when I see something that makes me like really just well up and get that like thing in the back of your throat where you can't talk, and all of these people do that to me all the time. So
I think it's there's only other film composers know the suffering that film composers do. Whenever we get a chance to commiserate, it's welcome. And at these PRO dinners, BMI or ASCAP, it's like the one time a year where we all come out and put on some clothes and get rip-roaring drunk.
Yep. We did.
And trade ideas about where to take vacations and yeah, just support each other because it's a particular kind of suffering that we do. But yeah, I think that it is nice to share accolades and give people props when they do something that you like, because yeah, we're still listening to music, and it's our job to be sensitive to music, and sometimes that's hard because of how steeped in music we constantly are. But yeah, if something comes around that hits us, it's always exciting to be able to reach out and share that. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay. I do have to ask about the Let's Fucking Go thing of this movie. Considering that I'm an Eagles fan and that's why I heard it first. How did LFG become really the trademark in Deadpool and Wolverine at this point?
I mean, I think it just was something that they said to each other, you know, these 50-year-old men, 40 and 50-year-old men, Sean Levy and Ryan Reynolds, and you know, I think they were saying it all the time on set, and there's a lot of texting, let's fucking go, to each other. And so when it came time to name the title track, it seemed like there's only one option.
There's only one choice.
Only one option. And actually, there's a lot of track titles that at first, I mean, we went pretty bold and you know, breaking some fourth wall stuff in the track titles, the way that Deadpool does. And at first, Disney was like, no, we can't do this. And then they came back and they're like, actually, yes, we're gonna do that. So, hats off to Disney marketing and Disney Records for going with a lot of the zany track titles that we put in there.
Listen, I'm still
like
on.
Chest Fucked by a Tree.
That's a good title. Did they let you actually put it in?
I did Chest Effed.
I was gonna say they have to name. Yeah. On Horrible Bosses, we did a lot of those, but they made us put the little like a bunch of symbols instead.
Yeah.
It was. They wouldn't let you do the real thing.
That's actually amazing. I'm just already blown away by the soundtrack itself, in the matter of the fact that they were able to ask Madonna to use Like a Prayer in their movie.
Yep. That was a real. I mean, I hope that Sean and Ryan tell the tale of dealing with Her Highness on this and getting her approval.
That's exactly how you should describe her.
And it was real touch and go for a minute, and I had done, you know, all of this work, and you guys will see when you see the film. You know, we
I've
did.
seen it.
You've seen it, so you know what we did with it.
Yes, I do.
And you know, there was a minute where it seemed like she was going to push back on it, and it would have meant some massive reimaginings of what we were doing. But Sean and Ryan went to her apartment in Manhattan, and she made them wait 2 hours. And then proceeded to just toy with them, ask them story questions like, why is Deadpool doing this? This doesn't, you know, blah, blah, blah. They were like having to, you know, appease her, and in the end, she had a note, which was a really great note, and we adjusted it based on her note, and then she just sat behind me at the premiere last night. Well, a few nights ago in New York. Yeah.
You got notes from Madonna, dude. Come on now. What did she say?
Yeah, what's that worth right now?
No, it was amazing. It was amazing.
Awesome.
You know, her note was about the choir, and it was about the character of the choir, and it was totally right on. And in my defense, it was my own note that I had early on, but I was vetoed, and then she came in.
Amazing.
Notice how that
Always about
never the it was my idea first, but we're gonna give Madonna props because she's Madonna.
Oh, it was good because they listened to Madonna. They didn't listen to me.
If you don't mind, if I can real quickly, because of that, because that was actually what I was going to come back to. First of all, for the story reasons, we're seeing the side of Wade that we haven't, and not spoilers or anything, but we know the word perky and whatnot. But the whole theme of the film is him trying to kind of like find his place. So we see an emotional side of him, and even with Logan, we get a very emotional side. So at times the themes drastically has to change from brutality and madness and all the other great stuff that happens. For that, along with adding the soundtracks and the notes from the soundtracks and these popular songs that we grew up with and want to dance to and whatnot, how do you work that balance?
I mean, you just do. You do your best. I mean, it was a pretty moving landscape. There were a lot of songs that, you know, they were trying different songs, and the process is really just goosebumps. It's really the way, like, what's giving the most goosebumps. And there were some moments that were songs, and they had me come in, as I was saying at the other table. Sean brought me in to do some big orchestral stuff for season 4 of Stranger Things. So all the Kate Bush running up that hill stuff, he asked me to come in and do the orchestral arrangements for that, as well as like the finale of the end of the season. And so he knew what we could do, and he he asked me to do that with some of these pop songs. So there's more than the Madonna that I'm not going to spoil, but it really was just a matter of like, this isn't quite there yet. They gave it to me, and then we got goosebumps.
Can you sign?
Sure.
He's got a marker over there.
All right, and then Chris, we're gonna move.
I think it's almost out. I'll try this silver.
Brand new, mine is.
We're excited that Jensen's back next year.
Oh, I'm thinking ahead.
Go another one since it's.
Oh, where are we next?
Okay, this one. All right.
Thank you.
The disc is a good call.
Can't even use it. I don't have a disc player in my car.
Xbox?
All right.
That is true.
Amazing. Thank you so much, buddy.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Hell, they gave me shit.